Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going on a deep dive to a place.
Leasaraga's story really challenges the traditional narrative of
Oh.
Machu Picchu's discovery.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You're a farmer, clearing land near the base of a mountain when you come across a hidden staircase swallowed by the jungle.
Wow, that's an image that really sets the scene.
It is.
What happens next?
Well, Leasaraga doesn't just stop at the stairs.
Right.
He's drawn to explore further climbing up to reveal those breathtaking agricultural terraces
Wow.
that Machu Picchu is so famous for.
So he's the first outsider to lay eyes on these incredible ruins.
That's right. And he doesn't stop there. Leasaraga returns to the site multiple times,
Oh, wow.
realizing that those terraces are just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
He uncovers a whole network of structures, temples, homes, courtyards, plazas,
Wow.
even tombs.
Oh, my goodness.
He basically stumbles upon an entire abandoned city.
That's incredible. It's like something out of an adventure novel.
It is.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Leasaraga doesn't just explore the site.
Mm-hmm.
He actually carves his name and the date, July 14th, 1902,
Wow.
into one of the temple walls.
That's amazing.
Talk about leaving your mark on history.
It's a fascinating detail that adds another layer to this whole question of who discovered Machu Picchu.
Right.
Leasaraga clearly understood the significance of what he'd found,
Yeah.
and there's evidence that he even acted as a guide, showing the ruins to other locals and even a few outsiders in the years leading up to Bingham's arrival.
So how did Bingham enter the picture?
Well, fast forward to 1911. Bingham was a young Yale professor,
Okay.
very much an adventurer in the spirit of the times.
Okay.
He was obsessed with finding Vilcabamba,
Okay.
the legendary lost city of the Incas where the last Inca rulers were said to have fled
Right.
after the Spanish conquest.
So he sets off on this epic expedition
He does.
through the Peruvian Andes, determined to uncover this lost city. And this is where those Indiana Jones comparisons come in.
Exactly.
Huh?
Our sources describe some pretty dramatic scenes.
Yeah.
Bingham and his team crossing rickety bridges over deep gorges, scaling slippery cliffs, hacking through dense jungle.
Oh, wow. All driven by this relentless quest to find Vilcabamba.
It sounds exhausting,
It
but also exhilarating.
must have been. And after months of searching, Bingham finally gets a lead.
Okay.
He encounters a local farmer who tells him about some ruins high up in the mountains.
Okay.
And on July 24th, 1911, guided by this farmer,
Wow.
Bingham arrives at Machu Picchu.
So he finally finds what he's been looking for, the lost city of the Incas.
Well, that's where the story takes an interesting turn.
Okay.
You might expect Bingham to be awestruck by the sight of Machu Picchu to instantly recognize its historical significance.
Right.
But according to his own journal entries, his initial reaction was actually quite muted.
Really?
He seemed more focused on documenting the site and moving on with his search for Vilcabamba.
Wait, so he wasn't immediately blown away by Machu Picchu?
It seems that way he spent only an afternoon at the site before continuing his expedition.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't Machu Picchu, but two other sites he found,
Okay.
Vitcos and Espiritu Pampa.
That he initially believed to be Vilcabamba, he even dismisses Machu Picchu in his writings, calling it a minor ruin.
That's surprising. Why do you think he had that reaction?
It's a good question, and one that historians have debated for years.
Yeah.
Some argue that Bingham was so fixated on finding a large fortified city
Right.
that Machu Picchu, with its focus on agricultural terraces and ceremonial structures, simply didn't fit his preconceived notions of what Vilcabamba should look like.
It's like he had this image in his mind and couldn't see past it to appreciate the true wonder of what he'd stumbled upon.
That's a good way to put it. It wasn't until later, after further research and analysis of his findings, that Bingham's focus shifted to Machu Picchu.
Okay.
And it was this shift in perspective that would ultimately lead to the site's global fame.
So what changed Bingham's mind? What made him realize that Machu Picchu was more than just a minor ruin?
Well, as Bingham delved deeper into his research, he began to realize that neither Vitcos nor Espiritu Pampa truly fit the descriptions of Vilcabamba that he'd found in historical accounts.
Okay.
And as he pieced together more information about Machu Picchu's architecture, its location,
Right.
and the artifacts he'd uncovered there,
Mm-hmm.
he began to suspect that this site might be far more significant than he'd initially thought.
It's like the pieces of the puzzle start falling into place.
Exactly. And this realization led Bingham to launch a second expedition
Oh, wow.
to Machu Picchu in 1912.
Okay.
This time, his focus was on meticulous excavation and documentation.
Okay.
His team cleared away the jungle growth that had overtaken the ruins, revealing the full extent of the city's intricate layout.
Wow.
They mapped out the temples, palaces, houses,
Hmm.
and the ingenious network of agricultural terraces that cascaded down the mountainside.
It must have been an incredible experience to uncover those hidden details, to see the city emerge from the jungle.
It must have been, and it was during this second expedition
Okay.
that Bingham made some of his most significant discoveries, including the unearthing of a burial chamber containing a large number of skeletal remains.
Ah, this is where that famous Virgins of the Sun theory comes in, right?
Yes, based on his initial analysis of the skeletal remains, which seemed to include a higher proportion of females.
Right.
Bingham developed this theory that Machu Picchu was a sanctuary for women dedicated to the worship of the sun god Intitus.
It's a compelling theory.
It is.
And it certainly captured the public's imagination.
Yeah.
But we know now that this interpretation was later challenged, right?
That's right. Further research, including more thorough analysis of the skeletal remains and a deeper understanding of Inca culture and social structures, led archaeologists to conclude that Machu Picchu was likely not a female-only sanctuary.
So what do we think Machu Picchu was actually used for?
The prevailing theory among archaeologists today is that Machu Picchu was likely a royal estate.
Okay.
The place where Inca emperors and their families would retreat to escape the hustle and bustle of Cusco, the capital city. It was a place of both leisure and ceremony, where they could enjoy the beauty of the natural surroundings while also carrying out important religious rituals and political activities.
It's fascinating how our understanding of Machu Picchu has evolved over time.
It is.
As new evidence comes to light and archaeologists continue to piece together its story.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that even though we've learned a lot about Machu Picchu,
Right.
there are still many unanswered questions about its true purpose,
Right.
the details of its construction, and the lives of the people who lived there.
It's like the mystery of Machu Picchu continues to unfold even after all these years.
It does.
But getting back to Bingham, how did his work shape the way we understand Machu Picchu today?
Well, despite some of his initial misinterpretations, Bingham played a crucial role in bringing Machu Picchu to the attention of the world.
Right.
His photographs and writings, which were widely published in National Geographic and other publications, captured the public's imagination
Right.
and sparked a wave of interest in this lost city in the clouds.
His work essentially put Machu Picchu on the map, so to speak.
Yes, and it also led to decades of further research and exploration by archaeologists from around the world.
Right.
And while some have criticized Bingham for his methods and for the removal of artifacts from the site,
Yeah.
there's no doubt that his work sparked a fascination with Machu Picchu that continues to this day.
And speaking of artifacts, our sources mentioned this long-standing dispute between Peru and Yale University
Oh, yeah.
over the objects that Bingham took from Machu Picchu.
Right.
What can you tell us about that?
Yes, this was a contentious issue for many years. Bingham had removed thousands of artifacts from Machu Picchu, including pottery, textiles, jewelry,
Wow.
and even human remains, and these objects were housed in Yale's Peabody Museum.
Right.
For decades, Peru fought to have these artifacts returned, arguing that they were part of their national heritage and rightfully belonged in their country of origin.
That must have been a complex negotiation.
It was.
With arguments on both sides about the scientific value of the artifacts versus the importance of preserving cultural heritage within its original context.
Absolutely, and it took many years of discussions and negotiations before a resolution was reached.
Right.
Finally, in 2011, Yale University agreed to repatriate the artifacts to Peru. It was a landmark moment acknowledging Peru's claim to its own cultural patrimony.
So what happened to the artifacts once they were returned to Peru?
They are now housed in a museum in Cusco,
Okay.
the former capital of the Inca Empire, where they are on display for the public to appreciate and learn from. It's a powerful symbol of Peru's cultural heritage and its connection to its Inca past.
It's a great example of how these historical narratives are still relevant today, impacting contemporary issues of ownership identity and national pride.
Right.
But before we delve further into the ongoing legacy of Machu Picchu, let's take a moment to circle back to a figure we discussed earlier, Agustin Lizarraga.
Yes, Lizarraga's story is crucial to understanding the complexities of Machu Picchu's discovery narrative.
Right.
While Bingham is often credited as the sole discoverer, Lizarraga's encounter with the site years earlier challenges that Eurocentric perspective and highlights the contributions of local people to our understanding of history.
His story reminds us that these places were never truly lost to those who lived in the region, even if they were unknown to the outside world.
Exactly. And it raises important questions about how we tell history,
Right.
whose voices are amplified and whose contributions are often overlooked or minimized.
It's a reminder that history is rarely straightforward and that there are always multiple perspectives to consider.
Absolutely.
But before we wrap up our deep dive into Machu Picchu, there's one more fascinating character we need to introduce, Jean Savoy.
Ah, yes. Savoy enters the picture in the 1960s, adding another layer of intrigue to the ongoing quest for Vilcabamba.
We've covered so much ground today, from Augustin Lizarraga's initial encounter with those hidden stairs to Hiram Bingham's dramatic expeditions and Jean Savoy's quest for the real Vilcabamba. But even after all this exploration and debate, Machu Picchu remains a place of mystery and wonder.
It's true, despite all we've learned, there are still fundamental questions we can't definitively answer.
Like what?
What was the true purpose of Machu Picchu? How did the Incas achieve such incredible architectural feats with the technology available to them?
And what was daily life like for the people who lived and worked in this extraordinary city?
Those are questions that continue to fascinate archaeologists, historians, and anyone who's ever stood in awe of those ancient stones.
Right.
And I think that's part of what makes Machu Picchu so captivating. It's a place that sparks our curiosity, challenges our assumptions, and invites us to connect with the past in a way that few other places can.
It's like a tangible link to a lost civilization,
Yeah.
a testament to human ingenuity and creativity.
Precisely. And while we may never have all the answers, the act of seeking those answers, of piecing together the fragments of evidence and interpreting the stories they tell, is what makes the study of history so rewarding.
It's a journey of discovery that never truly ends.
And as we conclude our deep dive, I think it's important to remember that Machu Picchu isn't just a historical curiosity, it's a living cultural heritage site.
You're right, it's a place of deep significance to the people of Peru, a symbol of their Inca ancestors and a source of national pride.
And it's also a powerful reminder of the importance of preserving and protecting these irreplaceable treasures for future generations.
So what can we take away from all of this? What does the story of Machu Picchu's discovery and the ongoing debates about its interpretation teach us about history itself?
I think it highlights the fact that history is never a simple static narrative. It's a constantly evolving process of interpretation, shaped by new discoveries, shifting perspectives, and the voices of those who were often silenced in the past.
It encourages us to question the traditional narratives we've been told, to delve deeper, to seek out multiple perspectives, and to recognize that there's always more to learn.
And I think that's a fitting message for any deep dive. Don't be afraid to challenge assumptions, to ask difficult questions, and to embrace the complexity and wonder of the past.
Well said. We hope this exploration of Machu Picchu has sparked your curiosity and given you a new appreciation for the layers of history, intrigue, and beauty that this incredible site embodies.
And if this deep dive has inspired you to learn more, we encourage you to delve into the source material we've provided. There's a wealth of fascinating information out there waiting to be discovered.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those deep dives going. We'll be back soon with another fascinating journey into the past.